Noise. Nice. What's up, Danny Grant? Hey, June. Hey, Suki. Hey, Marina. How are you guys today? What is the good word on a Sunday? Oh, Charlie says, hi, Noah. Really hope that you're doing better with your sobriety. Yeah, I'm redefining it, that's for sure. And I'm exploring different ideas about it. But I think I'm doing okay. Danny Grant says, fucking work on Monday. Do you find, Danny, that knowing you have work tomorrow makes it hard for you to enjoy today? Vince says, hey man, I'm in a good mood today. I hope you are too. Yeah, I'm in a pretty stable, consistent mood also. And I'm really glad you are. It's great. Suki says, feeling very good today, especially since the sun is shining. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Remind me where you're from. Are you a Minnesota gal? I'm trying to recall. Manly Review says, sup man, been really digging the content of late. Helped me out when I checked into HAB 3 years ago. Your shit helps more people you know. Good. I'm glad. It's nice of you to say that, and I certainly think and will always think that regardless of what's going on with my life, I think being willing to talk about it and try not to hide and attempt to be authentic and honest is good. Because then at least it's real, which is good. Suki says, yeah, cool. That's awesome. It must be frigid where you're at too, yeah? Charlie says, and it's okay if you fall down because you can always start over again. Yeah, something I'm going to make a video about after I learn a little bit more about it is that I'm not actively and currently striving for 100% abstinent-based thinking for recovery. I've been reading a book from Dr. Adi Jaffe called The Abstinence Myth, and I'm just gently exploring it, and I'm sure I'll make a video about it soon. Manly Review says, just being genuine and open is one of the hardest things. It's so hard. It's so hard. I mean, this little voice in my head is always with me, and it's always kind of regulating and modulating anxieties and fears I have about how I am perceived by others. And of course, in theory and in thought, it doesn't matter how other people perceive me, particularly people I don't know. And it shouldn't matter, so to speak. But being someone who has sought validation so aggressively for so many years, and then trying to transfer into this new state of being where I validate myself, and I am very thoughtful about whose feedback I take, and I live unafraid. It takes practice and work. If that makes sense. Ivy says, I'm drunk. And that's okay. You're still welcome here. Kirsten, my favorite, says, hey Noah, I hope you're well this fine Sunday. Better now. Better now. I hope you are too. Claude says, what helps the most when you have cravings to drink? I think it's just trying to be mindful about the craving. I think talking about it in general, visualizing what I want seems to help. The change of environment seems to help. Not punishing myself for the craving and not allowing myself to associate a craving with bad and me being bad. I think that seems to help too. Man Review says, someone told me you are who you think other people think you are, and that just slapped me the F up. You are who you think other people think you are. That's intense. That's crazy. Danny Grant says, yeah, for sure. Just starting my meditation journey. My obsessing rumination has been out of control lately. Be aware of being aware of my thoughts is key. Yeah, 100%. Being the observer of your thoughts, reality testing your thoughts, not exclusively trying to stop the thoughts and change them. It's a crazy thing, a daily effort. Sometimes it goes better than other times. I also have been not daily meditating. I would guess that I'm hitting 4 to 5 days a week though, and working towards daily, so it's a good reminder. I like just going on YouTube and typing in guided meditation, usually 12 to 15 minutes. It can be fairly profound. I definitely have noticed, even though I seem to resist getting there, I definitely have noticed that after I meditate and I'm in that space, I'm glad I did. I always finish, I'm just like, I should do that more. I should do that more. Manly Review says, totally makes sense. Yeah. Ivy says, thank you, it shall pass, the craving that is. Yeah, they always do. Danny Grant says, I tried no FAP. I had to restart 3 times. Hey, we should try and. Kirsten says, doing all right today, just hanging out with my girls. They finished up their soccer season yesterday. Always on mom duty. That's cool. What's for dinner? What are you planning for food? First, Last says, do you believe you will able to socially drink or day? Do you believe you will be able to socially drink or day? I don't know. I don't know what to believe. I know that I haven't successfully done it in the past. That's for sure. And I know the 12-step model, and I know addiction science, modern perspectives on this is that once you've washed your brain too many times, you can't just go back to being social. I'm not one of those people that professes to be certain of anything as far as the future. So maybe, but probably not likely. Patty Brady says, you going November this, yes, or keep the full beard? I'm thinking I want to grow the beard out. The wife doesn't care for the kisses with the beard, but I think I'm going to grow it. Jam the Man says, yo. Danny Grant says, you watch much of Russell Brand. He's got good YouTube channel. Change, man. Yeah, I like Russell. He's cool. Fashad Farah says, how much better do you feel mentally after TRT? Look, I've been on TRT for almost a decade. I imagine, and I'm fairly certain, that if I were to discontinue TRT right now, then 4 to 6 weeks I would experience a crash. TRT shored up a hormonal gap in my system, and it improved my energy, it improved everything, but it didn't fix everything. It just gave me more capability to take better care of myself. That's for sure. Ivy says, you don't need alcohol, it's just a coping mechanism. Yeah, I agree. Kirsten says, well, the kids say chicken tenders and tater tots. So easy enough for a lazy Sunday, though. I think that sounds really good for a lazy Sunday. When I was a kid, my dad used to make, he would throw fish sticks in the oven, and I loved fish sticks as a kid, and for some reason that's what that made me think of. Kirsten says, made some chili Friday night though. Got down to 45 this week and I love it. I know, I love this weather. This is like some of my favorite weather, and I always forget. I've got a perfectly capable forgetter, so when it's like the heat of summer, I'm just like, oh, I love this weather. By the end of summer, I'm like, I'm ready for a new season. Get into the thick of fall, and it gets colder, and you start putting on jackets and sweatshirts and stuff. It's a wonderful feeling. Chris Weller says, hi, Noah, I've been watching your channel for years. I felt inspired by your story and planning on pursuing a career in mental health myself. That's great. Good for you, Chris. It's my YouTube account. Towering depths and the crevices we navigate. That's quite a statement. Manly Review says, 12 steps just didn't work for me. Felt like I was religiously turning a blind eye to the root of the abuse. Digging into the neuroscience behind the use and addressing self-worth trauma was the ticket. Yes, that's been very, very helpful for me. What I do think 12-step what is good for is community. You can find community there. You really can. And I think the social, spiritual aspect of it is good. I think the general plan for living is really clean and healthy too. But yes, I definitely believe it's just one methodology. I don't think it's the be-all, end-all. I do think that it's okay to find your own version of success elsewhere, and I believe the founders of that program would agree. Yeah, I think they would agree. And I'm super glad it worked for others. It hasn't worked for me in the sense that I've never maintained absolute 100% abstinence for more than a year, year and a half. And the way that I experience the failure of that specific goal that does demand perfection has been pretty devastating, which has led me to want to explore other opportunities and other ideas about how to individually match my want for health and wellness with my proclivity to gravitate towards drink sometimes. Danny Grant says, and just to let you know, you've made my day, and a smile on my face reading out my comments. Many times I've watched your videos when I've been struggling. Such a real and honest guy. Thanks, man. That makes me feel good to know. You're welcome. Dutch says, hi, Noah, I got a question. I don't mean to judge or anything, but why sometimes depressed people can be so manipulative? I don't know if those two have to be correlated. I think people in general can be manipulative. I wonder if depressed people, as you might perceive them to be manipulative, are doing so from a place of discomfort or pain. Not to justify, but just to explore. Like, if I don't feel good, and I'm consistently not feeling good, I suppose I have to be careful about how I go about trying to get what I think I want. And I know I have a history of manipulating, and I think a lot of that stems from an inability to express my wants clearly or to accept situations as they are. Not sure, it's an interesting comment. Very interesting comment. But I don't think depressed people equal manipulative people. I think very non-depressed people or unhappy people or whatever. I think humans can be manipulative for various reasons. It's funny though. It's my YouTube account says, ha ha ha, thanks. Yeah, buddy. Kirsten says, fall is my favorite. Doesn't last long enough here though. We usually get just a few weeks before the snow comes. See, yeah, fall is my favorite as well, I think. I imagine if snow was a more regular thing, then I wouldn't be particularly excited about it, but any chance that we get here to see snow is magical. Like, I don't know anyone who doesn't just get filled with joy in my local area, in the Beaverton, Portland, Oregon area, when they see snow. Snow is like the best. How many people are here right now? There's a few of us. We're baking it. Manly Review says, word. Jam the Man says, they say alcoholism is hereditary, and my father is alcoholic, not abusive or nothing. He just drinks a lot and I have a beer once a week or every other. Is that something I should stay away from? I don't know. That's a personal decision. It doesn't sound like you are abusing alcohol per se. It doesn't sound like you're physically dependent on alcohol. It doesn't sound like you're emotionally dependent necessarily on alcohol. So I imagine it just comes down to, what do you want? Is it adding a wrinkle into your life that you find interesting or worth keeping? And I think the important thing is just to be as self-aware as possible about your health and your wants and your risk factors and stuff. So I would think that if it's not hurting you, then it's just fine. That said, you can always experiment with doing without and see what you think. Maybe journal about it to be on top of how you're processing it. Let's see. Manly Review says, the shame, man, deadly. Yeah, the shame, the way that I spiral out of control historically once I've drank again is brutal. And I'm trying really hard to rethink that. It's not good. Patty Brady says, I probably overtrained my body because my mental health would not be good all the time. Now I'm injured and really in the doghouse. Now I'm rooting for you, man. Hang in there. That's hard. D Bodybuilder 1 says, have you tried drinking like 1 or 2 30 ml drinks daily instead of binge drinking? No, I don't. I haven't, and I don't like the idea of drinking even a little bit daily, which is always, I find that interesting even to say out loud. I'm much more inclined to, on a given night of the week, drink like 10 or 12 beers, but then not drink for a week or two. That's just how I've done it. It's just what I'm used to, but it doesn't have to be that way. I don't know. Ivy says, how do you feel nowadays? Are you happy? You know, I don't so much take too much stock and inventory on happiness. I of course notice when my mood is low, and I would say that generally speaking these days, my mood is probably a 4. I think a 4 is a fair baseline. If 10 is absolute mania, unachievable, and 1 is as low as you could ever humanly be, essentially you're locked up in the psych ward prepping for ECT. Or, yeah. I'd say like I kind of live and float between 4, 5, and 6. And as much as I grumble about it because I have like these flash memories of when I was a kid, and my memory of being a kid is that I just was never sad, ever. But as much as I grumble about it, having come from severe, dangerous clinical depression, I would say that I experience happiness. I don't stay happy terribly long. I stay okay and neutral most of the time, and I don't usually go too terribly low. Now, something that was impressed upon me in therapy a good while ago that I still think is just fantastic is to put a focus on contentment as opposed to happiness, right? Happiness comes, happiness goes. We're always yinging and yanging between good and bad. But we can be content just about every day. And I like that. Contentment for me usually is just, I gain it regardless of how my mood is based on how I'm seeing myself and the things that I'm doing and my behaviors and things like that. So I can have a hard emotional day or mental day, but still look myself in the mirror and say, hey, I love you, good job for today. I can be content with that, which does help. Where are we at? Jordan R says, no, how's it going, mate? It's going okay. Wanted to hang out with you guys for a little bit. How are you? I'm going to go see a movie at 3, about 90 minutes here. I'm going to go see, what's it called? The Last Duel, I think it's called. I'm going to see that with my mom. Yeah, The Last Duel. So that should be good. Gushy Mushy says, just out of curiosity, how often were you drinking when you were at your worst with it? It's been 5 nights a week for me for a year now, and I really want to cut back, but as you know, it's super hard. Yeah, thank you for your honesty. When I was at my worst, I was drinking 4 to 5 nights a week. I was doing that the last few weeks prior to checking myself into treatment. And I was probably drinking 12 to 14 beers a night. A lot. Definitely a lot. At that point, I was physically dependent. I would imagine you are too. And so what you're having is withdrawal and cravings, which I was having also at that time, which does make it hard to stop. It makes it hard to cut back. So be mindful of that. And maybe you might need some support. You might need help, and that's okay. And continue to just explore it. And I'm rooting for you. I know that that was too much. That didn't feel good. And I can't imagine it feels too good for you either at that rate. Depending on how much you're drinking, I suppose. But Sarah, good day. Nice to make it live. Yeah. It's good to do a live. I don't do these enough. I have to be in like a mood. I got to be in a certain mood to do these, I think. And today I just happened to be, so. Christian Hincapi, oh boy, says, you're very smart. Do you think you are excusing yourself? Culture and other countries would find you a-okay. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Wishing you the best. Christian, can you reword that? Do you think you are excusing yourself? Culture and other countries would find you a-okay? I would love to answer that. I'm not entirely sure what you're asking specifically, but I appreciate it, and I want you to try to ask that again if you're able. Abba says, I feel good most of the time, but sometimes, without any prior notice, I feel bad. Yeah, I relate, and I imagine a lot of us here relate. There's a good friend of mine who says I can go from sugar to shit in no time at all. And I've had that experience where I'm like, man, I feel really good, really uplifted. You know, I'm always wondering, like, what's my dopamine doing right now? And what cued that? What's causing this? Could it be the self-care I'm doing? I'll just start wondering, why do I feel so good? And then in the same breath, it could be like a couple hours later and I just feel sad and low and energy is low. And I'm just like, damn, what could be causing this? Is it because I noticed how good I was feeling? And it's just, it can happen all day. So I try not to hold on to anything too tight. It's so incredibly fleeting. It's funny. Kirsten says, I plan to take my kids on a walk, get outside before homework help. Look at you. It was great to check in with you for a moment, Noah, always. I hope you have a good week this week. I hope you do too. You're wonderful. You're one of my favorite people. And I wonder if we'll ever have coffee someday and just say hi. With our people, our kids and wives and husbands and boyfriends, whatever. Just, I wonder if we'll ever meet. I really do. Be good to yourself, and thank you for checking in. Triscuit says, consistently feeling around 4 to 6 most days, but it's better than 1 all the time previously. Yeah, 100%. Amen. It's better than it was. I mean, when I was suicidally depressed and like that agitated space, treatment resistant, I think I was living in the 2 and 3 range. And it was hard to breathe at that space. I couldn't function at that space, and it lasted what seemed like forever. So I may not ever get the mental health that I think I dream about sometimes, especially as I continuously reflect on life before depression and anxiety became part of my story. What was I just saying? As much as I may never get it, but I certainly, I think what I was trying to say is I certainly know that I can live where I'm at now, and there's joy to be experienced here. Just not as often as I thought it would be. Danny Grant says, what's your beer of choice? Oh, I don't know. I don't really care. I think I've enjoyed like, I enjoy just about anything. But if I'm just going to drink beer, just domestic stuff, just whatever. IPAs for social stuff, I'd say. Ivy says, well said, Noah. Thank you. Rasmus says, hello, Noah. Good to see you. How are you doing? I'm okay. Thank you. How are you? Tony says, hi, I'm 19 days sober now. That's the longest time in 10 years. I'm feeling great. Good for you, Tony. Heck yeah. Good for you. That's wonderful. It's my YouTube account says, wishing you well, Noah. All the best. Back at you. Thank you, Tony, for being a member and supporting. It's awesome. Did someone do a super chat? Huh? Yeah. Kanwar Anand just did a super chat, which is nice. Thanks, man. Do you have a question to add to that? I'll be on the lookout, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Sarah says, what's your favorite movie snack? Oh, it's so easy. So at one of the theaters nearby, the one I'm going to today, they have kettle corn, and I always have them put like extra butter and shake it around, and then I eat that with Reese's Pieces. So I take a couple little Reese's Pieces, put them in my mouth. I'll try not to chew, although I often fail. And then I'll eat some salty, sweet popcorn, that peanut buttery chocolate. Oh, I can munch on that all day. I'm excited to have that later. Let's see. Rangan Talukdar says, hi from Bangladesh. Sweet. Hey, back to you, man. Cassie P says, hello. I never catch you live. I know. Good to see you, Cassie. Let's see. Scott, good afternoon, Noah. Thank you so much for sharing all that you do. What things do you find put you in the best mood lately? I enjoy hearing others talk about what makes them genuinely happy. I think meditation. I've found that guided meditation is very, very effective and positively impactful on my mood. I think my morning routine and my coffee is just a time that I start to covet and I mostly enjoy. I think holding on to my wife and feeling her touch and a long embrace is good for my mood. I think exercising with friends, regardless of how my mood is going in, is fairly uplifting in general. I think engaging in an activity with a dear friend, even if I don't feel like it, tends to uplift my mood. Good food tends to uplift my mood. Those things. Ivy says, have you taken the vaccine? No, I have not. Gushy Mushy says, thanks for the feedback. You're the man, Noah. You're welcome. Thank you. Danny Grant says, and one last one. Why do you always feel better in the evening and worse in the mornings leading up until dinner? Why do I always feel better in the evening and worse in the mornings leading up till dinner? I'm not sure. I kind of wonder about these sort of patterns myself. I do know that sometimes the fog of the sleep or the food I've been eating and the inflammation in my body can sort of impact me early, and as I get through the day and as I exercise, I can burn some of that off. Not sure, like, I always wonder about environments in that way, triggers, but I agree. I remember there was a phase when my depression was bad where I would try to stay up all night essentially because I was so afraid of the discomfort of the morning. So it takes some of us a while to get our brains moving. Kunwar says, Noah, it's amazing how patient you are. Your patience never goes unnoticed. Despite harsh judgments by so many people online, you are resilient. I learned from you. Thank you. I appreciate that. That is one of the... It's part of being someone who shares their life online, is that you open yourself up to criticism, and you open yourself up, especially if you have a channel as big as mine, relatively as big as mine, to people that express themselves in unusual ways, right? People can be harsh online with no social pressure to do better. People can always say what they want here without it being to my face. It's just not real to me. But it's odd, and something I tell myself is that I choose to be here, right? I'm not a victim, so if I don't want to ingest like harsh negativity outside of like objective criticism or concern, I don't have to post, and so I choose to be here. It's part of the deal. No one's violating my rights in doing so, and I get a lot more. Lastly, I get a lot more positive, or at least respectful comments than I think. Negative ones. Sarah says, good choice. Suki says, congratulations. Tony, Cassie says, thanks so much for many times saving me through your videos. You are one of the rare ones that get it. You're welcome. Thank you for continuing to pop in and say hi to me. I appreciate it. Danny says, everyone reading this comment who's struggling, keep going. Love your perseverance is stronger than any of your struggles. Keep going. That's great, Danny. I think we all need an atta-girl, atta-boy every day. I think I do, at least. Rasmus says, I am 0 or 1 on the scale of 1 to 10, if I'm honest, but somehow still here breathing. Not that I am happy about breathing or anything, just hoping one day it might turn around. For 20 years like this. Oh, it's heartbreaking. I'm glad you're still here, and I'm not glad that you're in as much pain as you're in. It's not fair to be there. And I'm holding space for you. I know how hard that is. And I hope you get some relief soon. Ivy says, me neither. D Bodybuilder 1 says, how many coffees you drink in a day? And do you start your day with black coffee? I probably drink what would amount to be 20 to 24 ounces of coffee a day. If I had to guess, probably about 20 to 24 ounces of black coffee only. That's the only type of coffee I drink. And that's probably split or consumed rather within like a 2 to 3 hour window, or maybe like one 12-ounce coffee in like the morning and maybe a short, like an 8-ounce coffee in the early afternoon. Christian says, I just wrote my whole question, but when I read it, it seemed pretty heavy for the vibes. You're awesome. Thank you. Stay strong. Oh, dude, no, I mean, the vibes are whatever. Like, you can ask, anyone here can ask anything. I challenge, I encourage rather, all of you, if there's anything you're thinking, you're like, I wonder if I should say that, or I wonder if I should ask that, or I wonder if this is okay. Just do it. You should just do it. Let's get weird. And if I can't answer, I won't. Sarah says, I have a roommate who works full-time and drinks every day, to the point of not remembering the next day. Wow. He says it's not a problem. I need to move out, but I worry about him. Yeah, that's hard. I can imagine that's difficult. And of course, drinking every day is not healthy, and you know that. So, sounds like you want to move out, and maybe you should. Maybe that would be good for you. That'd be healthy boundaries. The Bitcoin lover says, hey buddy, I went with Royal Medical Clinic and my doc saw my test medical clinic and my doc says saw my test at 349 and he wants me to take 200 milligrams a week. That's a pretty big dose, but hey, good for you. I hope it works well. Be mindful of your side effects and your blood work, and good luck on your journey, man. D Bodybuilder 1 says, one thing you do wrong is binge drink, then binge eat. You should do it reverse order, much safer. Yes, right, of course. The Bitcoin lover says, should I take this if I have anxiety? Should I take 50 milligrams at first? I can't give medical advice. I couldn't even speculate. I will tell you from my own personal experience that I have found my 140 or 130 milligrams a week split into 2 doses works great for me. I did have a bit of anxiety when I first started, but I do also think that was psychosomatic. I was just nervous about what could happen. It was just upsetting and nerve-wracking in general until I got used to it. I tend to err on the side of less is more, and you can always go up. But that said, I don't think anything bad will happen. I do know that when I was taking 200 a week, 1 dose, that my blood levels were just getting a little bit too high, right? And I wasn't converting all of it. And so my body was turning it into estrogen or estradiol. And so they had to lower me and split up the amount to minimize peaks, valleys, and to stabilize my blood work and all that stuff. So just, you're on a journey. Just be open-minded, communicate with your doctor, and take care of yourself. Kobe Sharp, my issue is that I always put a date to when I can drink, and I go on a bad binge. What do you think that issue is? How do you mean? I'm just curious. I want to know what you're thinking there. Do you think it's bad to have a date? Do you think it's bad to cut loose outside of being aware of risk factors? Are you talking about like the issue socially, how people perceive it? I'm really interested in how people are thinking with that stuff. The Bitcoin lover says, that's with HCG and it's mixed with an AI. Okay. Sounds like you have a pretty robust plan. I just take testosterone, no HCG, no AI, and my testicles are for sure shut down because of it. So, excuse me, guys. It's my YouTube account says, do you think that, Canaanites deserve retribution? I don't even know what a Canaanite is. Someone tell me, what's a Canaanite? Cassie P, my son is learning how to drive. He wants to drive me places, but my anxiety has been so bad I feel trapped in any car I go in and panic till I'm throwing up. Oh my goodness, that does sound horrible. I do know that I prefer to be in control in a car. There are some people that I can manage to stay calm and okay with. I don't panic, so I have so much empathy for you there. That's an uncomfortable thing to experience, but I'd much rather drive, so I'll be praying for you. Joe McCormack, I'm suddenly just thinking about like the experience of like being a parent and trying to help your kid drive, and just how stressful that could be depending on the kid. Joe McCormack says, this time last week I was drunk in depressions and attempted to take my life. Wow. I was in the hospital for 5 days. I'm getting the help I need with alcohol and depression. Your videos help. I'm just glad you're getting the help you need, man. And brave of you to share that. That's so hard. And I'm glad you're getting help. I sense some hope in that message, and that's a big deal, particularly if you were in as dark a place as you were last week. Good for you. Kanwar Anand says, hey Joe, sorry you're going through this. I hope you recover fast. It's a wonderful time to be alive. Good. The Bitcoin lover says, let's say I have anxiety right now. Anxiety, right? How long will it last because the TRT is in the system? So listen, something to be mindful of. TRT is always, you always have testosterone in your system. It's not like you're adding a foreign substance, and it's not like adrenaline or epinephrine or something. You're not going to start your testosterone and then suddenly feel a surge. It doesn't work that way at all, literally at all. It has to, the blood serum has to build and be steady before much of anything is perceived, really. It's not like you'll feel it in the first day or 2 or 3 or week or 2, really. It's mostly in your head at that point. So take heart in that. You're not, yeah. Braden Locke says, when's the last time you drank? I actually drank last night. Kyle Bareka says, Noah, hi, so nice to see you again on a live. It's been so long. I always appreciate your presence and videos. Yeah, it's really nice of you to say. The Bitcoin Lover says, it can take 4 days for the peak, or am I thinking too much? You're just thinking. We don't have to judge it. We don't have to say you're thinking too much or too little. Your brain's just thinking, and it's okay. Keep talking about it, and ask away, and give it some breath. Write it down. Get it out of your body. Get it out of your system. Charles, oh boy, Andrews Juice. I can do this. Charles Andrzejewski. Yeah. Do you guys think that one of the main causes of our depression is hyper-focusing on the negative mental filtering? Ever hear a paradoxical intention doing the exact opposite of what the brain is thinking? Yeah, I think that can play into it. I'd want to learn more, but that sounds about right. Just struggling, right, and holding on too tight to anything. But I'm with you guys. I'm just on the ride. I'm just on the ride with you guys. It's my first time being alive. It's my YouTube account says, what is your opinion on the extensive senatorial infighting we can see? Oh my gosh, can you rephrase that? I'm not entirely sure what you're asking, but I'm curious about it. I just don't know what you mean. The Bitcoin Lover tipped me $4. Thanks, man. Got me feeling rich over here. No, I appreciate it. It's nice of you. The Bitcoin Lover says, okay, just thinking too much. Nah, just thinking. Arun McKenzie Film says, I'm 70 days sober right now. I had to get sober after my drinking was getting out of control again. Any advice to push through cravings if they don't seem to be subsiding? I think learning about how cravings work in the brain, just the neuroscience of it all and the practical science of it all is helpful. It's kind of like reassuring, reaffirming. I think talking about cravings can be good and take some of the power. I think not judging the thought or the physical experience is good. I think changing your environment is good. I think writing down reasons you want to be sober and why it's important to you is good. Kind of just like reassure yourself. I think meditation is huge. I think you could, literally, if you're having a craving, you can bring yourself to type in YouTube guided meditation for calm and relaxation, something like that. And simply lay down and do that. I think it'll help. I think being around friends will help. I think, what else do I think? I think like something calming for your body and brain, like some magnesium citrate maybe, and some kava tea would be nice. Lastly, probably some positive visualization. Like, what would getting through the craving look like? What do you think it would feel like to have it pass and to maintain this goal you currently have? I think that could be good as well. The Bitcoin Lover. Hope it helps my depression for sure. I believe it can. Yeah. TRT is the way I hope. It'll help. It may not be a cure-all. It just should help though. That's for sure. Cassie says, I would definitely love to tip, but I'm on the government wage subsidy after the motel I've been at for 7 years is tanking from COVID. Oh man, everyone's too scared to travel now where I'm at. Yeah, no, the tip thing, no, you guys are here spending time with me. I'm good. The tip is just that. It's not a requirement at all. No need to explain, in other words. Dan Fernandez says, it helped me out tremendously. Good. Suki M says, so if you drank last night, you still consider yourself sober? So no, I am reframing that for now. I'm experimenting with some stuff I'm learning from psychologist and addiction specialist, Dr. Adi Jaffe. reframing the abstinent-only mindset of being a healthy, balanced person. So no, I don't consider myself a sober person. I consider myself someone who enjoys a healthy, balanced, sober lifestyle, but I don't measure the success of that lifestyle with 100% abstinence. Right now, I'm always someone looking for new things and trying to learn from my past, and the ring around and the yo-yo of being sober and trying to be good and do good, and then drinking, and then the shame, the guilt, and the destructive behavior that reinforces it. I'm wondering if there's a different way. So I'm just looking at that right now. The Bitcoin lover says, do you take an AI for estrogen? I do not. I manage my estrogen levels with general lifestyle, diet, fasting, lower, more frequent doses, things like that. I want to be on as little medication as possible. Excuse me, suddenly very burpy. What's going on here? It's my YouTube account. What is your opinion on the aggressive gesticulation so rampant throughout the international stage at the moment? Oh my goodness, you sound real smart. Are you concerned on the consolidation of political and economic power between nations? I don't know what the word gesticulation. I love new words. That one escapes me. So let's learn something. Gesticulation. Gestures, especially dramatic ones, instead of speaking or to emphasize one's words. They were shouting and gesticulating frantically at drivers. That's cool. That's a cool word. Okay. The aggressive gesturing rampant throughout the international stage at the moment. Oh, look, I try so hard to stay free of that drama, free of that world. I don't watch the news. I don't engage in aggressive conversations with anyone for any reason. I don't take on other people's opinions if I don't directly know them, and I'm able to observe who they are, how they are, their lifestyle. I keep my circle fairly small when it comes to that stuff, and I, like anyone, can get caught up in worry, and I'm trying to stay here as much as possible and not in that fight or flight state. So I think to the people that are, what's the word? Jeez Louise, I was just coming for you. Hi. What's that? I'm just live streaming, yeah. I won't be much longer. I think there's a lot of emotional people. I think there's a lot of angry people, and I think there's a lot of people that struggle to communicate in a calm fashion. I think there's a lot of people triggered. As far as the concern, the consolidation of political and economic power, no, I'm not actively concerned on a day-to-day basis. I'm just not. I'm slightly concerned by certain mandates, I suppose. I'm concerned about people's livelihoods being affected by sweeping mandates and things like that. I'm concerned to the point that I wouldn't want to bring a new life into this world at the moment. Things seem so uncertain. But on a day-to-day basis, I'm more concerned for friends and family who are having a hard time than I am concerned at the world at large. I'm a big believer that if I want to change the world, I better get a handle on myself. So, good question. So big. So much to talk about there. Christian Hincappy says, I have to exit that chat. Thank you for sharing your authenticity. Have a good afternoon all. Take care, man. Cassie says, but tipping is awesome. I used to write YouTube tips in my weekly budgets. That is so cool. That's great. I love that. Kyle Mareka says, no, I don't remember if you remember me or our talks on Patreon about depersonalization. I'm slowly but surely getting to clarity and getting my control back in my head, smoking less bud. Good for you, man. Kyle. I think I do recognize you. Your avatar is really small. Bye, Suki. Thank you for being here and spending time with us. It means a lot. Thank you. Yeah, good for you, Kyle. That's great. And I think I do recognize you. Either way, I'm happy for you. And yeah, I imagine smoking less bad would help a fair bit with that. So good for you. We have a very, very generous super chat from Dan Fernandez. I'm going to give Dan a big round of applause. Or maybe that's a sticker. Or I don't know, a super sticker or something. But that's nice. It's really nice. It's very generous. So thank you, Dan, for that. He says, keep your head up, my brother. I will. I will. And I hope you do too. And that goes to everybody. Thank you again for your generosity. Charles says, it's like an iceberg. We start to abstain from the substances and start realizing there are a lot of layers to why we were drinking to begin with. Sure thing. Working on defects for life. Me too. I like that. Yes, that is definitely the biggest reason that I never want to be more saturated than not in any substance or any behavior. I want to be able to be in touch with my thoughts and my feelings and my fears, and be able to process and deal with them in a healthy way. Wisco Mario says, sup, bro? What's up? What's up with you? So my YouTube account says, thanks, Noah. Stay blessed. Thank you. And you too. Dan Fernandez says, keep your head up. Oh, yeah, I already read that. Cassie says, Dan, good on you. Yeah, that's cool. Kyle says, thank you, Noah. The only problem I have right now is this horrible eating disorder from the stress of work and it constricting my stomach. And when I smoke, I tend to panic and shake. It's the strain. Wait, so smoking causes you to panic and shake? I just want to make sure I heard that right. And if so, and I'm asking this not in like some sort of rude or abrasive way, but like, what is the positive of smoking if it's causing you to panic and shake? And I'd love to, I'm curious to know more about the eating disorder thing. Cassie says, oh my God, the layers, man, it scares me because once you remove one layer and see what's under it, you realize you're way more messed up than you thought. Oh my gosh, isn't that true? I was seeing a therapist at one point, and I remember getting out of a session. It was the first time I was learning about the effects of childhood trauma, the effects of being in a triangle dynamic of victim, perpetrator, rescuer, how being in an inconsistent home with inconsistent attachment figures as far as what you might or might not expect from your parents. My parents growing up, how that impacts kids being in a fight or flight state. And because kids have to attach, they can start to think that they have magical thinking. So I learned, I think that I caused things as a kid, like it must be my fault if ... Anyway, little minds, they try to do stuff like that. And I remember getting out of a session and literally saying to someone, my entire life has been a lie. Because as you learn more, you know more. And yeah, I remember saying my entire life's been a lie. Oh shit, we've got another super chat from Kim Sing Ray. I think I said that right. Kim says, thank you for your content. During my darkest times, your videos helped. And ultimately, I got on TRT and I've had so much relief. Sometimes I ask myself, why do I do this anymore? What am I doing here? And then I read a comment like that, Kim, and it reminds me. So I'm glad that you found even some relief, and I'm glad that something I said or a video I made impacted your life in a positive way. It's really cool. And thank you for your generosity. You're the man. It's awesome. Kyle says, yes, you heard it right. It's when I don't eat and smoke, I get super cloudy-headed and super depersonalized. But when I do, it's way better, I realize. I see. When I don't eat. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I say, it must be doing something for you. But that's tough. I mean, a lot of guys reach out to me and say, oh, I smoked weed, I had a panic attack, I got depersonalized. And depersonalization was such an intense and scary experience for me that I would just never want to do anything to put that at risk. But I don't think it's ever quite that simple. So I'm just sharing my thoughts. Wisco Mario says, I smoked for pain relief, but TRT has helped me smoke less. And soon I hope to quit completely. Thank you for sharing your life with us. That's awesome. You're welcome. Rohan Devnath says, your videos of how to get rid of obsessive thoughts really saved my life. Thank you so much. You're welcome. That's nice of you to share. Sarah says, Noah, you are awesome. Look at everyone reaching out to you. Ade Jaffe, where do we find his info? Let me see. That's nice of you to say, Sarah. You're awesome too. Maybe I said his name wrong. The book that I'm reading, I've almost completed reading, is called The Abstinence Myth. It is written by Adi, A-D-I, Jaffe. This is the book I've almost completed reading. Typing it down. I think I just typed abstinence in wrong. No? There we go. Fascinating stuff. It's a different spin and perspective on what it means to be successful as someone with a substance abuse disorder, or someone who drinks too much, or whatever. It's really interesting. It's a different paradigm, that's for sure. Never read anything quite like it, especially from a medical professional, or from a PhD doctor, you know. Kyle Bareka says, but the eating disorder, I feel I can't eat around negative force fields since I am a deep empath, or from stress, and can only eat when I feel peace by myself or around someone else. That's interesting. I certainly connect to and relate to needing to be in a calm, still frame of mind and being while eating. I don't like eating on the go. I don't snack. I don't like eating under stressful environments either. I think it's so important. I mean, not just our bodies. Obviously, we absorb nutrients better when we're calm, but I enjoy it more. So that's interesting. Thanks for sharing. So my YouTube account says, do you think Matthew is a faithful testament to Christ, or do you think it has been mistranslated? Are you religious? I'm not sure what you mean when you say Matthew is a faithful testament to Christ. I'm spiritual and curious. I enjoy reading Proverbs every morning. This last month, and I have what's it called? I have a study Bible, so I'm trying to just glean what I can from religion and from spirituality and see what I can learn, and there's a lot. But I couldn't answer your question, because I don't know. Cassie says, I remember going to therapy lately for my panic attacks in cars. Thought I had panic disorder, and it turns out I got red zone in agoraphobia, panic disorder and social anxiety. Damn it. What are you going to do? Like, what's the game plan for agoraphobia, which I believe is a fear of going outside of your house? Is that correct? I'd love to learn what you're learning. Kim Sing Ray says, I am a clinical psychologist, and sharing really is caring. Cool. Very, very cool. Psychology is something that fascinates me, and maybe one day I'll kind of fulfill a curiosity I have about getting a degree in psychology. I love learning how the mind works. I'm much less afraid the more I learn. Kyle Bareka says, I'm underweight as hell, almost showing bones, but I don't have an appetite all of the time. But now I get dysmorphia because I don't feel content with my weight, and family members call me anorexic, so it makes it worse. That is so hard. I haven't had that experience, but I hope that you get support and help that you need. And it just sounds hard, man. I've never been down that particular road, but I think it's good that you're sharing, and I'll hold space that it's going to get better for you, and you're going to find that perfect balance. There's no more comments. We've been here for an hour. I think this has been fun. I think this is a good place to go ahead and say bye. So I'm going to go ahead and excuse myself. Thank you for those that donated. Thank you for those that commented, those that just sat back and listened maybe and spent some time with me. I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you guys the next time that I do. Hey, it's Mark the Irishman. We'll just put it. Guys, for what it's worth, the guy that just left a comment, Mark the Irishman, who said hello there, he hasn't eaten food in a week. He's on a 7-day extended fast, shooting for 12. How bananas is that? Kim says, to be honest, with the wonderful content out there, people like you, people like Impact Theory, other YouTube channels, you can really learn so much about psychology and human behavior and patterns. Yeah, I don't doubt it. I often wonder if sometimes you guys can see me a lot more clearly than I can see myself in some ways. Cassie says, have an awesome day. You too. Kyle says, have a great rest of your weekend, Noah. You're awesome. Glad to reconnect. Me too. You too. Travis says, just made it. I'm heading out, Travis, but I'm glad you popped in to say hi. By Matthew, I meant the gospel according to Matthew. Sorry, I should have been more specific. Been reading the Bible, but there is contention among scholars as to mistranslation from original Greek. Yeah, I've heard about Hebrew not being able to be properly translated to different languages, but it's all new. I'm just going for broad stroke lessons right now. Travis says, your last video taught me a great lesson. Good, man. It's awesome. Mark the Irishman says, you're the man. No, you're the man. And take care of you too. And I appreciate you guys. We'll see you in the next one. Adios.